So one of the most amazing things with being a synth YouTuber or music tech YouTuber is that I get to try out a lot of awesome things. Synths, software, hardware, but sometimes it's the little things that really stand out. And this little metal plate here that I spent about 2 days testing out, this metal plate is one of my favorite things right now. Now this little plate here was sent to me by Sven from Mirai, who makes the Varidock stands. But the video isn't sponsored, I didn't promise any video, and I'm gonna give you my honest opinions because I thought that this was really cool and I wanted to share it with you all. So basically this is a VESA mount for Electron synthesizers and samplers, namely the Digitakt here and the Digitone. And the idea is very simple. You have the bass stands here that I showcased in a previous video, and you can just put them like this. And this is very unique because you get easy access to the Digitakt and the Digitone above a larger synthesizer. Here's a little shot with the prologue as well. So you have easy access, and especially for Electron synths that are quite deep, they're kind of menu heavy. You don't want them at weird angles. You don't want to reach over to see what's going on because then you're probably not taking advantage of all the features. So I think that this is actually a brilliant solution, especially for the Electron, Digitone and Digitakt and also the analog heat. So I've spent a bit more time than I expected on this piece of metal here, and for good reason. So let's talk a bit more about it. Using the new VESA mount is super simple. You just screw it onto the stand itself, and then you VESA mount an Electron, Digitone, Digitakt or analog heat. And it's that simple. So the stands are height adjustable, but that requires loosening screws, takes a little bit of time, and you can also adjust the angle of the stand, which is a lot quicker because of the thumb screws. In terms of stability, I just tested it like this, just hitting the keys on the Digitone here really hard with much more force than I usually do. And as you can see, it doesn't move around at all due to the rubber feet. But as you can see here, it can theoretically topple over, but you have to pull it quite far in order for it to topple over. And there's also these additional feet that you can get if this is something that you worry a lot about. And of course, for a more normal use case where you're turning knobs and playing the keys, I don't quite see it being any sort of problem. And this is also at its most angled position, so if you angled it a little further back, it's of course even more stable. And here's just a little example of what it can look like when you have the 3 Electron devices and a big synthesizer in front of it. This is with the stands in its most angled position, and as you can see, it makes the devices very accessible even above a synthesizer. So to me, this is a really practical way of setting up the Electron devices. You might want to have the Digitakt, for example, easily accessible above a synthesizer, and this is just a great way to do it. I also did some more experimenting here, and this is what it looks like with just say a Digitone or Digitakt without the elevation module. So you could have it positioned something like this if you want to. So this is how low it will go, something like this. And this is at its most elevated position. And then you can have a second one behind it. Works really nice. And I actually found this out. So this is not an intended use case, but you can actually put a third one here. Now, I don't think that Sven really recommends this. It does become a little wobbly. I'm basically just attaching 2 elevation modules to one another. And I think that with additional feet, it can work pretty well, but yeah, it's more for show. It can work. But at this point, if you want a 3-tier system, I think that there might be some better wooden stands for that kind of setup. So just keep that in mind. So in order to build something for an Electron Digitakt, what you need is this here bass module. So let's add that to cart. You also need the elevation module, add to cart, and you need this VD160 VESA. Now you could also add the extended feet here. So this setup in total sets you back $100. Now that's pretty pricey, of course, so you have to think about if it's a good investment for you. And if we remove the extended foot, we're down to 87 euros. Now I can't decide for you if it's worth it. I can just tell you that this is quite unique product. There's not that much out there like it. So yeah, you decide. You let me know in the comments if you think it's worth the money or not. And I think that it's important to say that you're not only paying for a specific stand for a Digitakt, you're paying for the modularity of it as well. So I hope that they'll be able to make even more and different different types of trays and different types of adapters for different synths. I think they're going in the right direction with the Digitakt stand, because it feels like the Digitakt and Digitone are beloved products that are kind of worth the investment. You know, I'm not sure I would pay this sort of money for something for the Waldorf strike fet here, for example. I mean, paying about 70, 80 euros for a stand for my Waldorf strike fet, I'm not sure if that makes a lot of sense to me, but for a Digitakt or Digitone, I totally see it. So yeah, you let me know if you think it's worth the money or not. So let me end off again by saying that in no way do I get anything from showcasing Sven's stands. He's just a cool dude who makes very high quality stands, and I thought it's important to share stuff like this. It's kind of innovative, it's kind of interesting. Whether or not it's worth the money for you, you have to decide. Let me know in the comments. I'm super interested to hear what you think about the pricing, what kind of other synths you'd like to see him develop this format for, because I do know he's reading the comments, he's listening to the feedback, and he's a really cool guy that spends a lot of time thinking about synth stands. So I thought it was worth another video. Now, for those of you who are still here, let me make one last point. I got one utterly ridiculous comment in my last video with Sven's stands, basically saying that you could just go to IKEA and pick up their plastic stands for a couple of dollars. And this is true. I have IKEA Isberget and IKEA Bräda, and yes, they are completely fine for the money you're paying. But it's a totally different world of quality. You can't compare the two. I can't even come up with a good comparison, because the IKEA stands, while functional, they slide around a lot. There's no modularity, you can't change angles. So all of the things that you're paying for when you're buying one of these stands, you don't get with an IKEA stand. But that wasn't the most ridiculous part. And I want to highlight just absurdity of the comment, because he's basically saying, hey, this is expensive, this is not expensive. So let's go and support the multi-billion dollar industry instead of supporting innovation from an independent creator who focuses solely on synths. Like, to me, that's just absurd. I mean, if you don't feel like paying premium for this kind of premium product, don't do it. But don't go around acting like you're getting the same value from something from IKEA. Like, it's good value for the money, but it's not the same thing. And I think that's important to respect, because otherwise we won't have people like Sven making really cool, interesting stuff for us. So that's just my thoughts. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you later.